Good day, welcome to Music Motors, welcome to the 2019 Mercedes Vito. Now this is a 114, this is powered by the normal 2.1 litre diesel that goes throughout a lot of the range, but this one has 136 horsepower and 330 newton meters of torque, whilst there are a variety of different options. You can get even up to the 190, 440 newton meter option. This is kind of the middle of the road, it's a good, affordable truck. Now this one's finished in obsidian black, a deep black colour, which looks brilliant. Is an option, about £460 option. And the biggest thing to do with the Vitos in general is that whilst technically now they don't have as much technology as some competitor vehicles, they still have the best reliability and, in my opinion, best looks in general. So here is the 2019 Mercedes-Benz Vito. The outside of the Vito has always been quite defined. It's always been, from my point of view, the better looking of all the choice that you have. It's a very, very good looking vehicle which offers a good amount of sport styling, but not making it so low to the ground like some transporters, for instance, are. You feel that you'd be worried about hitting them on stuff all the time or whacking the wheels. This one comes with 17-inch alloys and they really do look the part of giving it a sport exterior styling, because this is a premium. You also kind of get a chrome grille, adding to that kind of sport look. Aside from that, within reason, quite a lot of it is the same as you would have as a middle of the road Vito. But being a premium, it then also comes with a few extra bits and pieces, which I'll get to a bit later on. But continuing with that style point of view, the front end is a very typically Mercedes design, and you'll see this design throughout almost every single Mercedes vehicle on sale at the moment, be it commercial or passenger cars. It is a very Mercedes design. The front lights are really nicely shaped. Whilst these ones don't actually have fancy projectors on them, they are nicely designed. They look really, really good. The front end in general does actually look very distinct, very proud, very prominent, but at the same time not so OTT that it's obnoxious on the road. It looks great. The side profile of the van is, well, it's a van, it's difficult to make it look sporty, but Mercedes have done a good job of making it look Mercedes. Good lines, good strong lines the whole way down the side, and it's the same door handles as you'll see in literally any kind of commercial vehicle on their range. So if you see it from a side profile and you know Mercedes vehicles, you know instantly by the door handles, a bit of a geek thing, you know instantly what it is just by looking at it there. And the back end, if you go for an L1, personally these look a little bit, how would I say it, they almost look a little bit out of proportion, but if you get an L2 like this, the proportion is spot on. L3, well, you're starting to get a little bit weird again, but it depends what you need it for. But from that outside point of view, at the back, if you go for an L2, it's really nicely finished. Everything is just done really well, regardless of if you go for the barn door or the big opening rear door. It really does look the part from any angle. The everyday test, my gig test. Now, in vans, it doesn't really show off their full capability, because realistically I very rarely have such a huge amount of equipment to shift that I would ever need one. But what it does showcase is realistic fuel economy, driving quality, what it's like to live with the vehicle through a busy day. So I'm on my way to my first thing of the day. Fortunately today is completely in daylight, so I'm chuffed. I'm not going to be out too late, but it is a lot of motorway driving, a lot of A-road driving, a fair bit of traffic I dare say. But as you can imagine, there's a lot of space left in the back. So fuel economy, take with a slight pinch of salt, because with a really heavy load, it'd be slightly different. The result was over 40 miles per gallon, 41.9 miles per gallon. Now, give it its due, so far we are just on motorways with light traffic, but I feel the next stage is going to contain a lot more back roads, a lot more traffic. So far really comfy, really easy to drive. On to the next bit, which I can't show you, but see you in a few hours. Right, I've had a change of clothes, I've made myself look a little bit better for the next stage. It's generally motorways, so let's go. So I've arrived, even with sitting in traffic and struggling to get past security to get in, I've managed 45 miles to the gallon. as a combined total so far. So there's only one bit left, and I'm hoping that where the traffic will be really, really minimal, it can be even better than that. But this drives just like a car. It's really comfortable. The visibility's good. And I mean, I've just brought it into a conventional car parking space with ease. Done. Now time for the final slog to get back and see what the total combined fuel economy is going to be. So in total, that combined run was 43 miles per gallon in the end, which includes lots of traffic, stop, start, everything. Quite impressive. I know I don't have a lot of weight in the back, but for a 114 especially, I think that's done very, very well. It's very comfortable, it's very easy to drive, it's more car-like than any other competitor in the segment, and generally it's just a bliss to run as a daily. The only criticism, infotainment needs upgrading, but there'll be more of that in the main review. Inside, the Vito is a little bit behind the competition, as it is currently, and I'm not going to lie, it's a bit of a letdown. I'm desperate for Mercedes to update all the technology in the vehicle with everything that they've got in the Sprinter, because it would just be so epic and cool, and it would be an industry leader if they did that. So I'm fingers crossed that's going to happen soon. But it's not to say it's bad on the inside anyway. It's very comfortable, it's very quiet, there's great visibility, and everything's in front of you. What really lets it down is the infotainment system, and whilst as a premium you do get Becker Map Pilot Pro like pre-installed, it feels like a very out-of-date system. The type of system that's been in place there probably from passenger cars, and we're talking passenger cars 10-15 years ago, would have had this system. Now it is a good system, and the standard audio system in this is absolutely fantastic, but it's just a bit of a letdown when you compare it to some of the competitor vehicles having things like Apple CarPlay, DAB radio and everything standard, including like the Sprinter, that it doesn't have it. But I have no doubt that it's going to be coming soon, and even as it is, even if you don't get Apple CarPlay, you do have Bluetooth, you do have a fantastic onboard system, and a lot of people, a lot of owners who buy these still now over things like transporters and transits, well, they just download a DAB app. We all get enough data these days to not have to worry about it. On long journeys, it's actually very, very quiet, very comfortable to be in, and the van doesn't get thrown around thanks to the, well, it's pretty much the only van of this kind of size that doesn't get thrown around, primarily because of the technology that Mercedes have implemented to make sure that you don't get whipped around by horrible crosswind assist. The driver's seat is adaptive to an extent, and it is very comfortable for those long journeys. However, your passenger seat isn't adaptive, so they are a little bit more upright than you, and it isn't so comfortable for them as it is for you. Now, rear load capability, depending on the length of the vehicle that you've got and the specification, the trim level, you can take anywhere between 650 and 850 kilograms of payload weight, with a gross mass vehicle weight, or mass gross vehicle weight, of 2,800 kilograms. So it's quite a lot, whilst maybe not as much as something like the next class up, something like a Sprinter. For the size of vehicle this is, it's exceptional to be able to have such a low gross vehicle weight as, well, almost 3 tons. Access to putting stuff in the back is very, very good. Things like transits I find have quite a high lip. Crafters and transporters, again, they have quite a high lip as well, but the Vito and the Sprinter, more specifically the Vito today, has a very easy access height, which means you're also not scraping the rear bumper when you're putting bigger items in. Performance wise is where the Vito will always excel for me, because it is the best driving van in the segment, and it always has been, and it's still not changing. It is exceptionally good at just being really comfortable and easy to drive. It's so car-like, so easy to drive, but equally doesn't kind of fill you with confusion that, am I driving a van? And then you forget, and then you hit something. You know you're driving a van. You can feel the size of the vehicle, but the steering is weighted so lovely, and even the 6-speed box is very, very good, quite natural to feel as you go around. If you go through 7G Tronic, that is my favourite box in the Vito range. Being a 114, this does have 136 horsepower, 330 newton meters of torque, but if you really want to go for power, you will go for the 119, which has got 190 horsepower and about 440 newton meters of torque. That is only available in a 7G Tronic. There are a variety of options, and within reason, they're all made to fit whatever you need engine-wise, but the 114 is a very good middle ground that offers you good fuel economy. Right now, I've been sat on a back road and I've got 36.4. I do have equipment in the back. Now, at best, Mercedes claim that you're probably going to see it about 44 to 46 miles per gallon, and within reason that's very, very achievable. At points I saw 50 miles per gallon out of this on the motorway. Around town, generally no worse than 25 if you've been sat in heavy standstill traffic constantly. It is exceptionally good at turning around good fuel economy, especially in this 114. Back to that driving point of view, when you come onto back roads and you do have weight or you don't have weight, it's very composed and easy to throw around and have some fun, which for a commercial vehicle, you don't get to say that very often. The brake feel is very, very good, and acceleration, whilst not rapid, is more than acceptable in a 114. If you want something a bit more powerful, do go for a 119, because you won't regret it. That 190 output at 440 Newton meters of torque is something, it's quick for a van, let's just put it that way. Really, the Vito is to me a superbly up there vehicle, and it still to this day is my #1 van of the segment. The reason being is how it drives, how it looks, and the service that you get. Even if you bought a 3-4-year-old Vito, as long as you're having it still serviced by a Mercedes main dealer or authorised, authorised service centre, they look after you to the extent of free roadside assistance. If if you end up smashing your wing mirror off, they'll come and replace it for free. Roadside assistance, like European-wide, for free included. And to be fair, the service packs aren't actually that expensive at main dealers. Unlike passenger cars, the commercial vehicle side, they really look after you because they want you to stay with the brand. So put all of that together, aside from the fact it's slightly technologically behind on some competitor vehicles, it does an exceptionally good job of being a hardy and trustworthy van whilst looking the part and being very easy to drive. I see companies that have fleets of these. They have 100, 150 vehicles, and at least 50% of them are going to be Vitos. The reason being, they're the most reliable, they're the best looking, regardless of what spec you get. Of a few people that I know who run things like 114, 116, 119s, they never have issues with them. And realistically, when anything has come up, Mercedes have turned up to their house and taken it away. And when it was going to take too long, they delivered them within an hour, a replacement vehicle, to make sure that they weren't off the road, they weren't having trouble. Mercedes have nailed it, because once this has been updated, it's going to beat all the competitors and all the technology. But as it stands, it's already better than a lot of competitor vehicles because of how it drives, how it looks, and it's not expensive to buy. It's not expensive to run. You can take it into the ultra low emission zone. It's compliant for a lot of different bits. Mercedes really know how to build a van.